Okay, I'm getting that up so I can refer to it as we go through. First off, thank Angela and her staff for helping out and pulling this together. I know people are kind of scattered all over with SAS week and a lot of really cool things going on. So I appreciate that. I appreciate everyone that is able to tune in and be with us this morning. I hope that's going well for everyone. So we will start.
I think folks can see my screen. Sue, can you confirm that folks can see the screen and the agenda?
Yes, we can, but could you enlarge it a little bit?
Yeah, we'll do.
That was better.
Mute everyone. Yeah. Yeah.
There we go. Yep. Just scroll over to the left.
Okay, go ahead. So, had your school breach?
Perfect. Thank you.
To run a specific integrative STEM endorsement just
Uh,
I know. And they would like the session, face-to-face sessions. I told them they would need at least.
And this is just a reminder that if you are not on mute, please mute your microphones unless you are talking. Thank you.
Okay, great. So if Angela has the agenda up, we'll start today with the PDE leads that are on the phone with us to go through some of the priority things that we've got going on and some of the previewing some of the things that we have right now in the department. And then obviously we'll give you guys the opportunity of each lead, and then also at the end, just in general, to ask any questions you've got, any barriers you guys are finding as you're executing the deliverables in the system of support, any needs or requests for future agenda items, things like that you would have from us as we go through. The one thing I do want to say, there were a handful of questions from the leadership meeting and PAI UCC that I did circulate through the leads. I got some of the answers back, but not all of them. It's been kind of hectic since last Wednesday with SAS going on. And Sue also made a really, really good request on behalf of the leadership team that each of the project leads get you the date of their monthly check-ins. I do not have I really wanted to have all this compiled today. I did not. That will go out to Sue and to everybody on the list as soon as we have that compiled. So I will get that information out because I still think that was a real valuable add there. We just didn't pull it together in a week's time. So first on the agenda is Rosemary with the school improvement efforts. But I know Rosemary is going to join us in the second half, so I'm going to purposely drop Rosemary behind on the agenda, if that's okay. And I think Judd is on, so if we can start with STEM and go a little out of order, I'm going to kick things over to Judd. Or maybe Judd is not on. Okay. If Judd's not with us, then do we have any right now questions about the STEM deliverables? I would obviously do my best to answer, but some of them I may just kind of take down for Judd, or we may be able to discuss as a group.
I could probably help Brian as may Sergio too. We're both on.
Okay, great.
Just, I know folks realize the PA Smart 2.0 release, and so that guidance is out and in the document, and Sue will share this with you. It's similar to what we shared with leadership last week. So there's a hyperlink to that pen link. There's also, Judd was sharing about the STEM fellowship.
Hold on 1 second. Judd is on. He was trying to talk. Apparently his microphone is muted.
Okay, great. Okay, we'll turn it over to the expert then.
Wait. Let me. He's trying to get on. Run with it, Angela, until Chad gets back on. Since
I know that Nicole is on. Brian, are you okay with going right to Nicole and then have Judd, because he'll be able to give real-time updates that even beyond what we have here today. Are you okay with going right to Nicole?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do that and not sit with
Nicole,
that.
we'll throw it over to you, Nicole, and if you'd like to share your screen or you have a PowerPoint, please do that.
Thank you, Angela and Brian. I actually do have a PowerPoint, so I am going to share my screen if possible.
Great.
Okay.
You should be able to. Let me know if you have any issues.
All right, I will try one more time to see. I think as long as the agenda's up, I'm not able to.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me stop.
Okay, great. Thanks, Angela. All right. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to provide an update regarding the equity work that's taking place across the state, and also the work that's being done as part of our SSOS work via the intermediate units. And please, if at any point after I'm done, if you have any questions about any of this information, please do not hesitate to let me know. I just wanted to reorient us around the definition of equity according to Pennsylvania. Every student has access to the educational resources and rigor they need at the right moment in their education across race, gender, ethnicity, disability, sexual orientation, family background, and/or family income, as well as language. I just wanted to remind us of that definition as we proceed in talking about how equity is not something that stands on its own, and that it's not something that we want the messaging to convey as a checkoff of a box. We want the messaging to be clear that with equity, it is something that should be the fabric of everything that we do. So as we talk through a lot of the work that we're going to discuss in the remainder of the agenda, I felt that it was an important piece to bring to the forefront that as we consider multi-tiered systems of support, which look at overall social, emotional, academic, and behavior, and I'll pause because I think there's some feedback. If we could have everyone mute, that would be great. Thank you. As we look at multi-tiered systems of support and how equity fits into that framework or is the overarching umbrella of that framework, it has to be conveyed that the goal of equity is to ensure that there's access and opportunity for all students to achieve academically, behaviorally, and social emotionally. The key messages are listed there below for you, that equitable practices are for all students, not just for specific subgroups, and it's not a curriculum or a program. And again, the focus should be within the context of a multi-tiered system of support. Just so that you are aware, there are many learning opportunities professionally that are being developed and or delivered around equitable practices. And I just want to highlight a few. One is the Administrator Blended Pill course that has been piloted since October of 2018. We most recently were in the western regions of the state where that pilot has continued, and we've received great feedback in the folks that have participated in that opportunity. It's titled Equity in Education, Why Leadership Matters. It's available via the SAS portal and offered regionally. So if you were to visit SAS, if you don't see it there now, it's because the next region's opportunity will be coming in the spring and should be available potentially in the March month. Following that, we have self-paced online courses that are available for any teacher in the Commonwealth that are free, and they're Act 48 approved. Two courses in particular that we've put out so far is Equity Course 1, which is Self-Awareness and Reflective Practices for an Equitable Classroom. Equity Course 1 is a prerequisite for Equity Course 2, which is Educators as Systems Change Agents. So again, if a teacher that you know of, or if there are a group of teachers that you know of that are interested in taking these courses, they would also access this via the SAS portal. They would search for those course titles that you see, and then have the opportunity to register and participate in a self-paced format. Lastly, and our most ambitious goal of this year through the SSOS work is that many of the intermediate unit representatives that support equity have decided and volunteered to be a part of the creation of Pennsylvania's Equitable Practices Virtual Hub. We originally were calling it a toolkit, but we want it to be a living, breathing area where people can access whatever they need at the very given moment that they need it. And the first step in that process is for districts, schools, et cetera, to have access to an equity audit. We're in development with that. And then you can see listed the remaining topics that we hope to convey via the hub, one being data practices, family community engagement, academic equity, disciplinary equity, and then cultural coaching or equity in PLCs. And again, representatives from all 29 of the intermediate units have volunteered to be on any one of those work groups related to those topics to help prepare, develop, if you will, what will go in those specific topics in the virtual hub. And our goal is to have this soft launch in June of 2020 via the PDE website. So there's a lot of work happening behind the scenes. You may hear from your different intermediate unit colleagues about the work that they're doing. If for some reason we have had changes in IUs and their equity contacts, if they would just reach out to me, I will be able to connect them with the particular work group of their interest. And lastly, as I wrap up, I just wanted to give a listing of the upcoming professional learning opportunities internal to the state system of support. And the first one coming up is a collaborative effort between myself and Judd Pittman related to STEM and equity. That will be on December 19th. We're calling it a lunch and learn. If you are interested in attending, please shoot an email to me and I will ensure that you get the Zoom link. This will be for an hour. We are also this year privileged to have Dr. Paul Gorski as our coach for the year, and he will be providing the second of his coaching opportunities on February 10th. And this topic will be around examining racial opportunity gaps in schools. That also will be Zoom. And again, if you're interested, let me know. As we move out of the winter months and into April, we have two opportunities that again are very collaborative in nature, and we're excited to do that because again, we want equity to be seen as something we do in conjunction with, not outside of. So April 6th, we will have another webinar for an hour. We like to call them Lunch and Learns, and they're called, this one is School Climate and Equity. This will be hosted by myself and Dr. Stacy Molnar-Main from the Office for Safe Schools. On April 21st, we will have a School Improvement and Equity webinar that will be held from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., and that is in collaboration with Rosemary Hughes and Karen Deary. And as we round out the year, we will have a webinar again on May 4th, same time, 11:30 to 12:30, Career Ready Skills and Equity, and this will be provided by Dr. Pam Emery and myself. And we're very excited to have the opportunity to have Dr. Paul Gorski attend face-to-face at the Patton Harrisburg office. This will be open to the masses, so please spread the word to save the date for May 19th from 9 a.m. to 3. He will be talking about cultivating equitable learning environments. And lastly, on June 8th, we will have a webinar around the link between trauma, school climate, and equity. And at that particular webinar, Dr. Dana Malakovic from the Office for Safe Schools, along again with Dr. Stacy Molnar-Main and myself, will host that webinar. So we're very excited about the professional learning that we are providing to our SSOS representatives from each intermediate unit and the work that will be provided to our schools based on this information. Again, if you have any questions, any ideas that you'd like to float along, please do not hesitate to reach out to me at nhollins, HOLLINS, _sims @pattan.net. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Nicole. That was Very good update, super detailed. Is there any questions from any of the folks out there for Nicole working on these equity projects? Okay, great. Did we get
I think
connectivity with Judd?
I think he is. Judd, are you good?
Okay, we'll move one more ahead. We'll go back and pick up Judd in a second. I don't know if Justin is on. Justin, if you're on, you can handle this one. If not, this one I do know something about. You with us, Justin?
Can you hear me?
Yep, we hear you great, man.
Great. I can't see the agenda. Forgive me. I don't know if that's something you can reshare again, but it's essentially similar updates to what we had from before. So Brian, if you want to help to fill in too, we can do that. Essentially just wanted to thank everyone for their participation in the November DQN with our school leaders meeting. Thank you in particular to all of the IU staff that helped us, especially on the fly. A lot of you, I think, on this call did in some capacity get pitch in and help with that. So I just wanted to personally thank all of you for that. We got a lot of good feedback regarding our presentations on the importance of data and the data team from the administrators, as well as for our certification and our STEM presenters. The main thing coming up with regards to that is, again, as we've been saying all along, that the April 15th April DQN will also be another meeting for school leaders, and we anticipate a similar approach for running that meeting, and we'll definitely be in contact after the new year with regards to some more details as we get that hashed out. Pretty excited for some of the agenda material that we're going to have there as well. So thank you again for anyone. And Brian, I didn't know if you had anything else you wanted to add in from your end.
Yeah, thank you, Justin. And without seeing it, you did cover the two points that, and I just want to echo the thanks too. I mean, that was a interesting, I don't want to use the word experiment, but an interesting pilot or an interesting first step at kind of merging the DQN and the curriculum leads in the IU. And, you know, I'm not going to tell you there weren't some bumps in the road in the planning phases, but everyone did a phenomenal job pulling together, working it all out, especially I know Brian Stanford and some folks up at IU3 were especially affected, but it was a really tremendous cooperative effort. And I'm hoping that was because folks did see the value in it. I think there is some value in this. And again, with everyone on the phone, I don't want to be a broken record because I talked about this at leadership a good deal last week. But you know, we're not trying to make our curriculum folks PIMS experts, but more and more and more under the asset accountability system, it's impossible to live in silos completely. And we don't need all our curriculum council folks and all our principals and superintendents speaking in PIMS and, you know, column numbers and you know, quad nines and all of these almost you know, foreign words I've learned to deal with PIMS. But it is helpful to see where this data comes from and see how this impacts you. And, you know, a lot of the things that are reflected sometimes in accountability data when people call in, you know, are upset because their data is quote unquote wrong, it's what's reported. And, you know, the ability to see that these internal systems for cleanup are super important. You know, just if we speak enough PIMS as curriculum folks to be able to communicate that and to communicate clearly with our DQN folks so that we can help them with the needs we have and the needs that superintendents have. So it was you know, it was an initiative that was very important to us, and it's why we wrote that into the State System Support this year. And I remember the meeting where we were all sitting around and kind of decided on this approach and how we wanted it to work, and we were super excited about it. And I think that has borne a witness. So I appreciate everyone's cooperation. That meeting seemed useful. I think now that we have one in the hopper, we will be a lot better in April. The 8th DQN date is up, so hopefully we can avoid some of the conflict with some of your regional school team leaders that we've had. Hopefully we can avoid that conflict. But it was a really good session. I thank Justin, and I thank all the Dan Berger and all the folks at DQN, and definitely Brian and Joey and Andy and all the folks at PAI-UCC. It was a great meeting, so I appreciate everyone pulling that together. Any questions or feedback for Justin or I around DQN, whether it be the joint meetings or any of the future DQN?
Brian, we had a hold on a second.
It's very cool. It reminds like a Pink Floyd concert back in college.
This is Annie Molesky from IU29. We had a request regarding the presentation of the DQN meeting in November. So one of the things we had with our screen, it actually showed every single room. And we had a request from our districts if it could be managed from whoever leads the meeting in April, that whenever somebody's talking, their picture just comes up on the screen.
Okay, that's great. Justin?
Yeah, I was going to say that was actually a technical issue that we were aware of live that was going on, and we were feverishly trying to work through, and I'm not sure exactly what the end rationale or proceed or approach was to that, but I'll definitely follow up with them to see if they were able to resolve some of those technical issues that I know that they were having.
Okay, great.
We were aware of that though, so thank you.
Yep.
Great, thank you. That's good feedback. Anything else for DQN, any of the data initiatives? Okay, I'm going to take another stab at Judd.
I think he's having problems getting on Wi-Fi at PDE, Brian. So maybe we could go to, I know.
I can go through, sorry, this is Sergio. I can go through some of the projects and a couple of the agenda items, and then when Judd comes on, he can take any questions that you have at that point. But looking at the priority projects, the STEM POCs and the PA Smart support, as everyone is aware that PA Smart was released last week. It is a short turnaround with December 20th being the date that the applications need to be in, and we are anticipating letting successful applicants know by early January because PA Smart 2.0 for the K-8 cohort begins mid-January. For the POC and script training, I know that there has been a little bit of confusion from the applicants as to whether script training is required prior to applying. Script training is not required prior to applying, but once they do apply, there will need to be a plan put in place for them to get scripts training, either from their local intermediate unit and or one of the patent consultants that can help to support that. The STEM POC, Leading STEM Toolkit Gap Analysis. I'm sorry, I cannot speak right now. I'll let Judd jump into that once he gets in. And then, of course, you have the STEM Ambassador Fellowship application there to the right, and the environmental education grants that Judd can speak to. If there's any questions about PA Smart and or script, I can take those, but I'll leave the rest of the questions to Judd.
Sergio, this is Sue Voigt. I have a question about the script training. If a district did not get a PA Smart grant this year, but they go through the script training this year, will they have to go through it again next year, or will that count back?
No, because the script training is similar to the Carnegie STEM Pathway training, where the participants are actually building out a systemic plan for their district. So once they have that in place, we're hoping that they're sticking to that plan, and then they're utilizing the various supports that we're providing via PA Smart or via our IUs to implement those plans.
Great, thanks.
Sergio, could you also just do a quick update? I know that there's going to be a pen link, it hasn't come out yet, on CS for All, but I know that it maybe had already been disseminated, a request for proposals for the CS for All conference.
All right, so the CS for All conference request for proposals is out. The CS for All conference will take place June, let me look at my notes, June 25th through the 26th, approximately. And so we are requesting proposals now, and we hope to have that all squared away by early February. There's a link on the PDE and patent site for the request for proposals.
And we can also put it in the notes that we send everybody.
Perfect.
Hi, this is Andy. I was just going to ask the same thing. If you could make sure that the agenda here, the one we received yesterday, was a blank one. But if you could make sure, because it's got the live links in it, if you could send that to us, that'd be great.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sergio, for pinch hitting. We will still at some point try to connect with Judd if there are more questions or if Judd's got some specifics to add for us. We'll keep trying to reach out and see if we can bring him online with us. I do know that Dr. Hudson is not available with us today. I don't think anyone jumped in because there were no agenda items. I'll wait for a second and make sure that's true. I've been surprised before. Okay, that seems to be the case, and that's what I thought. Are there any specific questions that I know there were some from the CIUCC group. I think those actually went out from Sherry Smith. Are there any other questions right now that I can at least play to Dr. Huskin and we can get out when we do our update? Okay, that's good. It's always a good meeting when I can say safe schools is going smoothly and there's no questions. That's great. Next, there's a lot of information from our text-dependent analysis folks, Diane or Becca, or when you guys able to take it.
Hi, Brian. This is Becca. I'm on the webinar. Can you advance the agenda?
I think Angela's driving. She'll get it.
She is. Yep. Thanks, Angela. Okay, so we completed our face-to-face meetings with the cadre of experts. It was our third year meeting with them, and we had our face-to-face in the fall. We will be continuing our office hours with them monthly. I have the dates listed there, and that's just an open time for us to touch base with everyone and answer any questions. Of course, our cadre knows they can contact us at any time. We also discussed in length the SOW deliverables, and we gave them some time at our last meeting to post into the community. And that is how we have accountability set up for our cadre members. They post everything in the community, and they also interact with each other so that we can just really work as a cadre together to share information and knowledge. And we're looking forward to continuing work with this group next year. I believe that's all I have listed there. And if there are any questions or concerns, you can always reach out to Diane or I. Or I'll take questions now if anyone has any.
Okay, great. Thank you, Becca. I do want to say a third person this morning, and it is literally the third person approached me and kind of gave me some unsolicited praise for the program for both Becca and Diane. So thank you two very much, and for the IU leads, their IU leads, and the folks that are working through this are experts. So I've got a lot of positive feedback about the program. I'm excited we can keep this going, and as we move through these cohorts, a lot of good things are happening. So I appreciate that very much. Thank everybody that's spearheading that work, because things are going very well.
And Brian, I'll just add one more thing, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So in another program that Diane and I run is a leadership program that we are conducting across the state. We're in our second year. In fact, that's where we're at right now. And for these last 2 days in the program, we invite our cadre members to attend with us, to sit by the school districts that are involved and just work side by side, because they're working on analysis. And it's just really exciting. We were in Harrisburg Thursday and Friday, Pittsburgh Monday, Tuesday, and now we're in Malvern Wednesday and Thursday. And it's just really exciting to have our IU partners that we've been working with attend the meetings and sit with their districts and just all work together. So I want to just thank everyone for the partnership that we've been able to really create and enhance over the past couple of years.
Absolutely. I echo that 100%. So thank you. I don't know if Amy or Carol joined us. I know there were no specific agenda items, but I'll take a second to see if Amy or Carol or anyone from the BSC lens is on.
I'm looking, Brian. I don't see, but I'll see. Give them another second. If not, I can do a brief update on the statewide dyslexia grants and the pilot.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Thank you, Ann.
Just wait 1 second, because I would defer to them first. Let me just see here. Okay, I'll just give a quick update, and then we can send you more specifics from Carol and Amy. What I can speak to is the role of tax support in helping the statewide expansion of the dyslexia pilot. You probably have heard from your local LEAs that the Department of Education has put out grants ranging from $10,000 to $60,000 to LEAs across the Commonwealth to expand the initial dyslexia pilot. And we will be working with the American Institute of Research to conduct the program evaluation. So LEAs are getting money to implement evidence-based literacy programs for K-1, and they'll be asked to do screening similar to what they did in the dyslexia pilot. I don't have the list off the top of my head, but I will make sure to follow up with Carol and Amy, but I think we have close to 30 LEAs across the state. Days 1 and 2 of training are happening right now. Days 1 and 2 in training happened in the West last week. Plumboro School District hosted for Western Pennsylvania, and day 2 of training is happening in Central Pennsylvania right now with close to 180 people at Patton Harrisburg with day 2 of that training and orientation. So just wanted to give folks a heads up. You're going to be hearing a lot about those grants. It's getting a lot of both statewide attention, but national attention if you've been following a lot of the national work around Emily Hanford and American Public Media and some of the reports. So the national dyslexia movement is really getting a lot of attention, and the work the department is doing to expand those grants to ensure that students prevention of early reading failure is in place. So TAC literacy folks who are being funded by the Department of Ed are going to be asked to kind of coordinate and support that work. And I know Carol and Amy will be able to speak to that the next time they connect, and we'll make sure to get notes from them. But I just did want folks to know, since those trainings are happening now across the state.
Okay, great. Thank you, Angela. Are there any questions that Angela and I can try to tackle for you? And if not, I can certainly kick them to Carol and Amy and we can send updates. Okay, hearing none, practice my wait time. I have a text that Rosemary is with us now, so we'll kind of go back up to the top of the agenda and hope to hit the folks that we skipped earlier or couldn't connect with earlier. So Rosemary Hughes is on with us for any updates and any questions you might have about the school improvement and our TSI.
And Rosemary, I just unshared my page in case you have anything you want to share.
Oh, thank you. No, I don't have anything anything in addition to what was in that template that you had up.
Okay, I'll put it back up.
Yep, thank you. And I don't have any, I mean, I really don't have anything in like to add to the talking points that are in this grid. So I really had just planned on being able to field any questions that any of you have about the process and where we are in the process in terms of TSI, or any other questions related to ATSI that we haven't already covered in the monthly sessions. So I'll just open it up.
Rosemary, this is Karen Henricks. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you, Karen?
I'm well, thanks. I'm looking at the upcoming training dates there, and I see, oh, never mind. I misread something, and where it says ATSI networking session, I was thinking about that as our turnaround for districts, but that I missed the SAS Institute part there, which I was a part of, by the way. I was in those, so I should have known that. My bad.
That's okay. No worries.
Rosemary, this is Sue Voigt. I am just wondering when the list of TSI schools is not embargoed anymore.
So the list will be publicly posted to our website at some point early next week. I don't know the exact date, but I will let everybody know because we're scheduled for 2 sessions next week, one on Tuesday and one on Thursday as for our monthly sessions. And so I'll give you confirm whether it's already been publicly posted or exactly when it will be. We just need to wait until we do the face-to-face session on Friday at Patton Malvern.
All right, great, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? All right.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mary, for being able to be with us. We'll, I don't know if we have connected with additional updates, or we're good with Sergio's recap of PA Small Stuff for us.
Brian, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're great, Judd. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, it was a journey. There's only a couple things that I wanted to add, just with regards that it's not in the slide, but a little bit of an update on the STEM Toolkit gap analysis and conversations with our leads that are engaging in that process. It looks like we're trying to get the gap analysis wrapped up by the end of the month. And we are seeing that some of the holes in those spaces are in the K3 realm of resources, and we've had a lot of resources in the 7th through 12th grade that are really focused on physical science and engineering. So as we lean into the spring and STEM POCs are considering who to tap as lead educators for helping us continue to build out that resource, we want them to keep that gap analysis and some of those highlights in mind. We'd also like to see some more intentional math resources in that toolkit. The way that it was described is that some of the math connections are a little bit more haphazard than intentional. Also, with regards to the Start Soul initiative, at our face-to-face MPOC meeting in January, we're going to have Jeff out to run a couple sessions based on feedback from the STEM POCs. So just stay tuned for that. And then I just wanted to celebrate the work that the IUs have been doing around script and supporting us in the computer science work. I think we're up to 37 communities that have taken advantage of that comprehensive planning tool. And then the two final pieces around some of the competition work in the statement. One being we have the middle school computer science competition finals tomorrow at Harrisburg University. So thanks to all the STEM POCs that helped get that opportunity accessible to kids in their communities. And then the Governor's STEM competition, I think we're up to around 130 teams that were registered. We had a deeper penetration across the IUs this year with some new schools that are jumping on board, and we were able to work out some things internally here at the department to figure out how to get dollars to those teams that have registered in a quicker manner than we have in the past. So I think we got that all ironed out, and each of the teams that registered should be receiving their $500 stipend and contact from Lorraine Spangler down here at PDE to generate that agreement so that they can have their dollars and engage in the regional competition. So if there's any questions or still any concerns about the Governor's STEM competition and where we're at with releasing funds, just don't hesitate to shoot me an email, and we'll see if we can make sure to get that moving in a pace that allows teams to compete and not have to drop out. And then just on the horizon, I want to thank several of the POCs who have jumped on board to support the Code for PA competition, which is going to be our high school hackathon in collaboration with Department of Labor, Department of Community and Economic Development, the Office of Administration, and PDE. And we'll be hosting that in 6 regions across the state, and so there'll be we're going to be finishing up the flyer this Friday, and there should be information ready to go out to STEM POCs and the network to release schools before Christmas. So that was really the additions that I wanted to add, Brian. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Jess. Additional information, and thanks for the stick-to-itiveness in the war against your technology there. I understand.
I have Brian, this is Sue Voigt. I have a question for Judd. You mentioned that the Start Soul, that Jeff would be at the January 6th meeting. So does that mean we do not need to sign up for an additional time if we can meet with him in person instead of via webinar? Because it was kind of a struggle for us to get all of our people who were trained available on one of the times he was available, but we all will be at the January 6th meeting.
I would say just with the way Jeff functions, Sue, if he would encourage you to take advantage of both. Like, I mean, he really wants to make sure to personalize this for each of the IUs. So if there's a time that you may just want to connect with him, even if it isn't the whole team, on the 13th or 14th, please take advantage of that. But if you want to wait till he's out in January, that's totally fine too. One of the things in January, we wanted to be able to dig in on some of the data that he's been sharing with me about with regards to engagement and just the excitement that he's seeing with a couple of the visits that he's made with educators using the resource. So, don't hesitate to lean on Jeff and take advantage of it. He really wants to make sure that he's meeting the needs of each of the IUs.
Okay, thank you, Judd. Any further questions on Judd's additional input there?
This is Angela Bryan. I just want to reinforce what Judd said. We are very cognizant of the fact that teams last year had to drop out of the governor's STEM competition because they didn't have resources. So please just have a pulse on the districts in your local IUs and make sure that if we need to support, that we're making sure that we can support the teams as needed. It's just going to be really important this year.
Yeah, Angela, and I just want to reiterate too on that, like it is different. Lorraine will be contacting each of the teams and generating an agreement with them to drive the dollars out. So I think, knowing and keeping a pulse on the teams that are engaged, just making sure that they got the resources they need. If there is a hiccup or a stick anywhere, please reach back out so we can work with Lorraine to make it smooth.
Yeah, and if there are any issues, and we will, through Pat and IU13, work to try to figure something out, because we know sometimes navigating that'll be difficult. So letting us know, especially if high poverty districts are struggling, to let us know, we'll make sure to help intervene with PDE on that.
Yeah, without a doubt. Thank you.
Okay, great. Key points come from the edition there I have on, or the last there on the agenda for contact issues, e-grant applications, the grant award. I understand the applications are updated in e-grants, and the reporting is the thing I think there is one still pushing the PDA that we're waiting for, but other than that, the things are being loaded in grants. We are going to go back to using e-grants and having everything contained in e-grants this year. It's prior, it's actually always our intent. Some things prevented that last year that made it a little confusing, so streamlined it. There is a contact for e-grants there, and this is getting sent out. Although I'm going to make sure her address is right, because I think there's 2 R's in her last name. So I'll make sure that's right before it gets sent out. But Erin Gurr at the department, she's in the Division of Federal Programs. Her phone number there is definitely right. I'll double check that email before I push this out to everybody.
Brian, this is Sue Voigt.
Yep.
Yeah, so that is correct. There is only 1 R in her email, and I did talk with Debbie Wynn yesterday about the transition with this. Okay. From Debbie Wynn and this happened late yesterday, so I apologize that I didn't get a chance to share with you before we did. They are in the process of transitioning, moving this over right now. So if anybody has any questions about the current applications, to put it to both Erin and Debbie, at least through this Friday, which is when the applications are due, this Friday.
Great. That's great follow-up. Thank you, Sue. I appreciate that. And I think that is, I think that's something even later this afternoon I see on my calendar working through too. So that transition will happen again, so we keep everything's in e-grants and everything consistent. It helps everyone out, when there's that consistency, and to make things easy for us. The additional item was Sue's suggestion that I think is a really, really good one, to put something out similar to this agenda, and maybe something like when questions we get last week and any questions here or whatever. The leads to share, and I think a lot of this is good. There's with over and here with folks, there are possibilities leads on certain projects.
You came in.
New folks in different IUs and things. with everyone that's scheduled with our monthly check-in. We can get that out there, and we will do that when we wrap this up. So are there anything any of our IU leads want to share, whether it be questions, whether it be specific barriers they're seeing, feedback they're hearing, we all like positive stories, anything that our IU partners would like to shout out that we didn't cover in the agenda?
Brian, this is Annie Molaski again from IU29. We just had a couple questions regarding the non-pub Safe Schools grants. They had been returned with the notion of verifying that the 5% admin cost was actually listed as an admin cost in e-grants as opposed to an indirect cost.
Okay.
However, in e-grants in the application, the drop-down menu, the only option is an indirect cost. And there wasn't very much clarification. I have reached out to Russ, but I've not heard back regarding what the changes necessarily really need to be, or how to remedy that situation with resubmitting the application. So any information that you can provide on that, or that you can get us in touch with. And I don't know if other IUs are having that same issue.
Okay.
I second that. This is Jennifer Anderson from IU8. I also had the same question with regard to indirect costs. We did have some grants that needed to be adjusted, and we did do that. And they've been resubmitted, but I'm also getting questions from the non-public schools with regard to release of those monies. They're not sure when that's going to occur. So,
okay, I can definitely check on the release date, and also I can gladly put this out when the updates. I will find out about the. So you were asked to resubmit the admin cost, but the only choice in the eGrants pull-down menu is indirect.
It's listed as indirect, and then in the notes section, the description, we put that it was covering the admin cost. The email that was sent out said to verify that you weren't going above the 5%. We've not gone above the 5% for the administrative costs. But you can't change the drop down there is no drop down that says administrative costs. It just says indirect costs.
Okay. I do not know that, how to, necessarily the workaround, because it's first I heard that. But I will definitely get that question if someone knows and get everyone an answer if that's, since it seems to be a common problem.
Well, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Is there anything else any of our leads would like to share? Okay. All right. I appreciate everyone joining us this morning. As always, if you've got any questions or suggestions or things in the meantime, correspond to your leads directly. You can always reach right out to me as well, and we will do our best to get those answers. I just want to thank everyone. Like I said, I've walking around at SAS in between the sessions and things, I've heard some really good comments about a lot of what's going on. We appreciate your cooperation. For our eyes and ears and hands out, and we couldn't execute these large scale projects without your help at all. And you guys have been doing a great job. So I appreciate that. And we're not all a big group after the holidays. So if everyone has a happy holiday and wraps up and recharges for the second part of the year. The spring's always the grinder, so I hope everyone is ready for that to come. So appreciate all you're doing. And again, if you have any questions at any point, reach out. I will send some updates to the questions that were given here if we aren't able to answer on the call. Thanks everyone for joining, and we'll talk soon. Thank you.